and welcome to another Jew and Gentile podcast. I am your host, Chris Katulka, and with me is none other than the bionic man himself, the one, the only, Mr. Steve Herzig. How are you, sir?
It's amazing I'm here, Chris. That's all I can tell you.
You are a walking miracle. We've got a lot of information for our listeners.
This, General Hospital?
I know, we should do surgery on this table here for you.
As the world turns, or I don't know.
Hey, well, listen, everybody, we got a great show for you.
No, we don't.
It's a quick one.
It's not a great show.
No, well, Steve's going to share.
Most of them are going to be bored to tears, but the good news, it's only going to last about 15 or 20 minutes.
That's right, because it's Christmas, it's Hanukkah, it's all that. We've got so much going on here, and we wanted to squeeze in this time because Steve, he's not been in the office. If you've been listening, Steve decided a few days ago or a week or so ago to go hurdle like an Olympic athlete over a hose for gas when he was filling up his car, and he tipped the top of it just a little bit.
Hose.
A gas hose.
Jewish and gas, they might think something else.
Right.
This is a gas hose.
The gas hose, you just kind of tipped the top of it, or did you nail the whole thing and go down?
I actually tipped the top of it. It stayed in the car. I mean, the nozzle actually stayed in the car because one of the good Samaritans said, could I take it out for you? Please do. I couldn't get off the ground.
So he fell. If you're just tuning in, he fell. He landed right on his hip as a 71-year-old and shattered his hip and ended up in the hospital in Connecticut, in New Haven, getting a new hip. You got a brand new hip.
A brand new hip.
You're brand new. I can't wait for the resurrection when that piece of metal comes flying
I don't know.
out.
Does the metal go up? I don't understand that. But whatever it is, I got a new hip.
So then, now let me catch you up. So everything's great. Steve's having the time of his life. He's doing ministry. He's connecting with people. He's sharing the gospel. I'm not joking with you. Steve was like, this is the greatest time.
It was a great time.
Okay.
Amazing.
And then all of a sudden he said, God humbled me. That's what he said.
He did.
Okay. So I'm still trying to figure out how you're doing ministry. You're doing great. And then all of a sudden God humbles you. But he does do that. He puts us in our place to make sure we're constantly focused on him. And then all of a sudden Steve wakes up one day and you got this little black bubble at the bottom of your eye, right?
1:00 on Friday. I'm sitting in my chair and a shade comes up from the bottom of my eye, halfway up, and I'm wondering what is going on. So I did what any normal American would do. I Googled it.
Doctors hate it when you do that.
I typed in window shade black coming from the bottom of my eye. That's actually what I said. And then up comes all these different things, and it says if you have one of these things, contact an ophthalmologist or go to emergency immediately. And one of them was detached retina. That was the one I said, well, it seems like I have this black thing and that could happen. So I hope it doesn't, but why not at least find out for sure? What's the worst thing that could happen? They send me home. I contacted my ophthalmologist. They got me in the office. They did some tests and I said, is it serious? And the ophthalmologist looked at me and she said, her name's Alice, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, it's good you're here. You need surgery ASAP.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, so you have this surgery, a laser surgery.
Laser cryo surgery.
Okay, so you come out of this laser cryo surgery, and now all of a sudden the doctors, you were popping up, you got your new hip, you're ready to go, you're ready to live life again, and now all of a sudden God literally humbled
me. First of all, I had to keep my head down. He said, keep your head down. You have to keep your head down.
What did it look like to keep your head down?
Well,
what was it?
Picture an elder cocker. That's an old Yiddish for old man. So I've got my walker from my hip surgery. I have to keep my head down, and I'm walking slowly with my head down. I mean, it's like the old Jewish view of, hunched over. I'm hunched over. I'm now officially old. You can't get a walker with your head down.
But all weekend you had to keep your head down.
It got worse. That was Friday night after the surgery. I had to come back for the follow-up, and I said to the doctor, I've kept my head in the reading position the way you said. He said, no more. You now have to lay flat for the next 8 hours.
And lay flat?
Lay flat. So he said, from now on, your head has to be straight down. And when you get home, you have to lay down. I said, I have this hip thing. I got to do PT. He said, I could care less what you do with the rest of your body. Your head has to be down.
You're falling apart.
So I said, okay. So my son was the one that drove me down both times to the surgery and then to the follow-up. So Chris, that was a challenge. I mean, laying down, so I set up a bed for our 7 listeners who are watching. I put an ottoman over here. Alice set up an ottoman. I laid at the end of the bed, and there's a space, and I put a pillow up here so that my head was laying on the pillow and my eyes were looking on the floor.
Was that the longest 8 hours of your life?
It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
If you're a first-time listener to our podcast, I'm introducing you to the sage, the Jewish sage, the one and only Mr. Steve Herzig. And if you've never interacted with Steve face-to-face, Steve is the Energizer Bunny. As you can tell from the story, because he's 71 years old, I'm 42, and I wouldn't jump over the hose. I would walk around. He's hopping over. He's got all the energy in the world, and God is literally telling him, no, you have to lay down with your head down now.
That's right. So I told my son, we were right by the Apple store. I said, I got to lay down. I could look at my phone, but I said an iPad would be great. So we drove home. He got me an iPad, and so I am listening to verses, scripture reading. I got reacquainted with Alexander Scorby. I watched college football game. I fell asleep. You name it. And then every hour, so now you're laying down. I still have the hip thing going. So I got to get up with my head down, get off the bed, and then do leg lifts with my head down in order to keep the blood circulating. So anyway, the Lord has taught me a lot.
Okay, good. So you're a new man on the other, more conformed into the image of his son.
I learned this, Chris. I got a long way to go. But for our listeners, if they text us at 424-444-1948, they could do what I did. I was in Yale New Haven Hospital. What did I do? Boom! I handed these babies out. Alice bought 50 of them. I didn't understand why she bought 50. Now I know why she bought 50. When my PT person came to the house, boom! I gave her one. I talked to her. When my nurse came, I have a visiting nurse. Boom! I handed her one. And when the PT person came back this week, I said, so, have you been going through the devotional? She said, yes, I have, and I went to church.
Really?
I went to church. And so she comes from a Catholic background, and she's describing going to church and how meaningful it is. And she said, I need to get back into church. And I said, hey, go to church. But I said, this isn't about church. This isn't about religion. This is about Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. And she goes, yeah. So I said, keep going through the devotional. And then, Chris, I did my usual Wednesday chapel, and it was accounting it was their week to do it. And this is for our listeners. As John Wilcox was doing his devotion, it sounded pretty familiar, Chris.
Yeah, it did sound very familiar.
It sounded very familiar. And Alice was listening as well. I was at home. And so I said, Alice, go get the devotional. We turned to, I think it's the 5th day, Chris Katulka. He was reading your daily devotional.
That's right, for Friends of Israel. That was very nice of him. Hey, can I share another thing, too? Is that I spoke at the Christian school that my kids go to. They have their staff dinner, their teacher dinner, and they actually had it here at Friends of Israel. And so they asked me to come and to speak, and Karen's on the board there, my wife. And so I handed out Finding Messiah and Christmas to everybody. And so today I went and we saw our kids during the last chapel that they have for class before the end of the year. And one of the teachers came up to me and she said, I love Finding Messiah and Christmas. I have a friend that lives in Beersheba. She's Israeli. She doesn't know Jesus. And I've been texting her every day the sections.
Tell her to download it.
I did.
It's free.
I did. That's exactly right. I said she can download it. Go to christmasisjewish.org. It's free. You can get stickers supporting Israel and the Jewish people by texting us at 424-444-1948. And the reason that's important is it's because we don't want to just give you things. Look, that's all nice. Yes, it's all free. It's all free to you. But I want you to hear what these things are doing. This is what our show is all about today, is that when we give something for free, it's actually to bless other people and to connect them with the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who sent his son for all. And so finding Messiah in Christmas, free, great, share it. Stickers, great. Stick them all over the place, share them so that other people can be blessed. And in fact, we have a story about the stickers.
We have a story from Patty Larson, one of our original seven listeners.
She might be one or two.
In fact, Chris, if you look on your phone, I texted you her explanation of what happened. So you read it, and you could read it to yourself, and I'll describe it. And whatever I miss, you could add in. Patty Larson, who heard about my fall, that was so nice of her. She contacted me and said she's praying for me. What a wonderful thing. And she said, but I have to share a story with you. You sent me stickers because I went to 424-1948, and I got my stickers, and I handed one of them out to my friend, who was so excited. She put it on her Apple iPhone. So she put it, instead of the little apple, she stuck a I Love Israel right on the back of her phone. Great. But her phone needed service. So she goes to Verizon, and she goes to the guy and says, my phone, blah, blah, blah. And he said, hey, is that a I Love Israel sticker on your phone? And she said, yeah. And he said, are you Jewish? She said, no, I'm a Christian. He said, you have a I Love Israel sticker on your phone and you're not Jewish. She said, no, I'm a Christian. He said, why do you do that? So she explained to him why Israel is important to her biblically. And she gave some scripture verses from Genesis chapter 12 and other places. And then he said, I have a couple questions. Would you mind answering them? So he gets theological. Patty's telling me this. And so she said, I'm happy to answer them, but now you're getting into a realm I can't really answer these. My pastor can. So he said, would your pastor come here? I'll line up a few people. By the way, Chris, he's Muslim.
He's Muslim. Yeah.
He's a Muslim. And so she called her pastor up. He came to the Verizon place. They had a Bible study in the Verizon place, a Muslim and other staff, because of a sticker.
Amazing.
A sticker.
Hey, this is really a testimony to, I know a lot of people say this all the time. Some Christian Zionists, what we are, you worship Israel too much. Did you ever hear that before?
Yep.
You should be thinking about these things and these things. You worship Israel too much. I don't worship Israel. I don't worship Israel. I don't worship the Jewish people. I worship the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I want you to hear about all of those stories as we're connecting people with the truth of what the scriptures teach about Israel. It's not about just supporting Israel. It's about how when actually you do what God said, you bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. When you do that, when you live out Genesis 12:3, it actually is always pointing to Jesus. All the time. It will point to the Jewish Messiah, because the Jewish Messiah was always promised not to just bless the Jewish people in Israel. He was always, from the very beginning, designed to bring blessing to all the families of the earth. So when you're sitting here, maybe you're thinking, gosh, I just tuned into this podcast. I've never listened before. These people talk about Israel a lot, the whole Israel this, Israel that. We do that because God said, I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. And in you, Abraham, all the families of the earth will be blessed. I believe that when we point people to the truth of what the scriptures teach, just like Patty's friend did, just like this woman who got Finding Messiah in Christmas and shared it with her Israeli friend in Beersheba, just like you've been connecting people with it, all of it is designed to point people not to Israel. It points them to Jesus, who's returning to Jerusalem.
The author
Israel.
and finisher of our faith.
That's exactly right. So I understand why I hear this all the time. Christian Zionists worship Israel too much. No, I worship Jesus,
where
the Jewish
was he
Messiah.
Born? Israel.
That's right.
Was he in a Jewish city? Yes. He's the son of David. Jewish. Everything is Jewish. We're not making it up. In fact, it's the direct opposite. What we have seen happen over the years, 2,000 years, it started as a Jewish story, but over time it became mostly a Gentile story, and Jewish people were isolated, feeling as though this is not for us. All we're doing, and especially as we think of the founders of Friends of Israel, is turning it back to where it originally was, that no, Jewish people, we're stiff-necked, hard-hearted people. Ask my wife. As I recover. I'm driving her crazy as I try to recover. I'm stiff-necked and hard-hearted, but God works through the Jews.
That's
He
right.
does that. Why? Because the harder the job, the more glory God gets.
Hey, and you know what? This is great, too, because not only are we giving out the Finding Messiah and Christmas for free at christmasisjewish.org and texting us at 424-1948 to get your free stickers, but we're also giving out a free class tonight that you can go to that Steve is doing.
And we have a special guest tonight.
Who is? Do we keep it silent or what?
Let's keep it silent.
All right.
It's a Jewish believer who many of our listeners will know, and we're going to go down memory lane. It's the two elderly Jewish people. Two Jewish. She has a bad back. I have a bad hip. We'll complain a little.
You guys should have seen. I haven't seen Steve in person in 2 weeks.
Yep.
And so I see him in the office, and there he is. He's got his cane, and he's dancing around with his cane, and he looked like Bert from Mary Poppins, So anyway, it's hilarious. But be sure to take the free things that we're giving to you. They're free in order to share about the goodness of who Jesus is, the Jewish Messiah. Steve, I want to say Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah to you. They all merged together. It's been a great year.
A great year. We love our listeners. Hey, Chris, get the highball and let's ask 2 questions.
Here we go.
How is 2024? How's it going?
If that's what you want.
Ask how it's going to happen. What's going to happen in how's it going to go in 2025?
How's it going to go in 2025? Highball says, why always the asking?
There you go.
All right, really quick, too. We have great gifts from our one and only Laura Coleman, who is always so kind to be a blessing to us. Laura is our senior administrative assistant for our department.
Look at this.
And
How do you do?
What version do you have?
I don't know. I didn't know there's different versions.
I have the Passover edition.
I have the Hanukkah edition.
Okay, great.
How do you do?
All right, we'll do these next year.
Oh, this will be fantastic.
This is a great way to start 2025.
Thank you, Laura.
All right, so Steve, we're wrapping up the year here. We're going to take a little break. We've got family, we've got Christmas, we've got New Year's, we've got Hanukkah. I leave for Tampa on Saturday to go speak at a church and then come right back to be a part of what's going on with the family Christmas traditions. But to our listeners, we just want to say thank you so much for being a part of the Jew and Gentile podcast. We're thankful that you listen. We're thankful that you text us, and that you're a part of what we're doing. I mean, really. And that's why we're actually trying to raise $25,000 before the end of the year. And you can go to foiequip.org/donate so that you can be a part of what we're doing. You're hearing all these stories of what stickers do and what the Finding Messiah and Christmas is doing and how it's blessing people's lives and how we're sending out and training people to minister to their Jewish friends. That all happens because generous donors give and believe that the things that we give out for free are not just free gifts. They're actually a free gift talking about the ultimate free gift. That's Jesus, the Jewish Messiah.
Let me just share one funny story. Alice reminded me. So I'm in the hospital in New Haven, Yale Hospital, and it's Saturday night. I found out I need a new hip, and so surgery scheduled in the morning. I couldn't sleep. I wasn't nervous at all about the surgery, but I just couldn't sleep. So I'm going through the news, and so I contact Alice at about 5 o'clock in the morning. I text her, believing she's still asleep, of course. And I said, surgery scheduled for 8:30. All's well. Meet me at 10 in recovery. And by the way, Assad is in trouble. So we're in recovery. I still have all the anesthesia, and I'm talking to the people, and I told everybody. Alice said I said it at least 10 times. Hey, I was supposed to speak on Jonah, but instead I'll give you my message now. She said I said that 10 times. So I did that, and then so Alice said, "Why did you tell me about Assad is in trouble?" I said, I got to do the news for the Jew and the Gentile podcast.
That's great. So she always gets the news first. Is that what's going on? Alice always
I don't
gets
know.
the
I
news
felt
first?
I had to tell her. It was right at the tip of my tongue, so I had to get it out.
That's great. Hey, listen, too, next month, at the very end of January, Steve and I are taking over 14 Christian leaders from all around the United States and Canada to go over. It will be their very first time seeing the Holy Land. We really believe that when we put Christian leaders, pastors, people leading parachurch organizations and departments and all that other fun stuff in parachurch organizations, we really believe that if we can put their feet on the land of Israel, they'll get a greater appreciation for teaching God's word. They'll get a greater appreciation for what God is doing with Israel and the Jewish people. So Steve and I are going to be taking an amazing group over there. We're all excited, and we got to get Steve trained up because he's got to run up Masada at the end of end of January.
Ain't happening. I can tell you that right now.
You'll see him in his cane hopping up
I'm leading
Masada.
the group on the ski lift.
That's exactly right. All right. Well, Steve, thank you. It's been a great year.
Great year.
We got a lot to do in 2025, but we want to thank our listeners. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and we will see you next year. But in the meantime, be sure to go to foiequip.org, and there you can sign up for Steve's class tonight. If you haven't already, Hanukkah, you can hear about what it was like growing up in a Jewish household, Orthodox Jewish household, to see what it was like celebrating Hanukkah, the traditions, all of it. Last week, we looked at the history. This week, we're looking at the traditions of the Jewish people and the meanings of all those traditions. It'll be fantastic. Join us again by going to foiequip.org. Don't forget, we're trying to raise $25,000 to continue to share the kindness.
This might not, they might be hearing this and say, you know what? I'm not going to give. Get these guys off the air.
That's right. Well, if you feel compelled to give, go to foiequip.org/donate, where you'll see the donate button there. Thank you so much for being a part of the Jew and Gentile podcast. We'll see you in 2025.